This week in a conversation, I'll be speaking with author Cathelina Duvert. She's joining me from New York, and we're going to be talking about her interesting novel titled The Box. But before we get into this interesting story with impeccable writer Cathy Duvert, I just want to remind you also of my own recently published novels, the duo, as we call them now, Bittersweet Memories of Last Spring, Book One, and Bittersweet of and Last Spring was Bittersweet, Book Two. But before we get into this, I also want to remind everyone, uh, you might have to excuse me because I've been away from the conversation for quite some time, and one of the reasons why it's because I've been very busy with. I've been doing a lot of research, so that's why you haven't been able to to see me, but I have not forgotten you and also, as well as the support that you've been giving me over the past, I mean, over the last few years. So please continue to support and continue to invite your friends to participate in the conversations also. So the best literary shows out there on YouTube. So let's get started. Again, my name is Ardain Isma, and I'm here this evening with a very important author. I'm here with author Cathelina Duvert. She's written a very interesting book titled The Box. So we're going to dive into it. But before we do so, Cathy, every time I have a writer in a conversation, I always have to ask the author to introduce himself or herself.
Okay.
Please do so with the wonderful audience of the conversation.
Okay. Thank you so much. I'm so glad to be here. Thank you so much for meeting with me. My name is Cathelina Duvert, and I am an author of my debut novel, The Box, which is about a young woman who suffers with depression, and she comes to terms with her depression when she learns more about her mother and how her mother viewed her and her relationship with her and before she passed on. I am a writer, I am a teacher, and I also write Kathy's Cross, a depressive positive perspective, which is a blog that I'm hoping to turn into a book. It's all about my struggle and my battle with depression and how I overcome it and the things that I do in order to help myself deal with it on a daily basis.
You know, it's interesting you just mentioned that you struggle with depression.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't realize so many writers have struggled with this until I started the conversation. I've been speaking to writers across the world.
Mm-hmm.
I would say more than 50% of them
Mm-hmm.
will tell me the same thing that you're just saying.
Yeah.
Before we get into the box, what do you think it's so?
I think that I'm going to say for me, I feel like a lot of my writing has come from my feelings of depression. And I feel like writing has been my one salvation, one of the things that has helped me deal with depression and overcome it. And maybe that's what's happening with a lot of these writers, that they're doing the same thing, writing a form of expression in order to relieve what their symptoms of depression. I just feel like I think more people suffer with depression than we realize, and these writers happen to be in touch with their feelings and emotions and understood what they were going through.
And you know what? I remember when I turned 40 years old.
Mm-hmm.
It's been so many years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I had some serious problems.
Mm-hmm.
All of a sudden, I couldn't control me, who so strongly believed in myself.
Mm-hmm.
I felt some sort of a sense of vulnerability,
Oh,
and
wow.
trying to call all friends, childhood friends, wanting to know how they were doing. It lasted pretty close to more than 6 to 7 months.
Wow.
Yeah, and then one day I went to see my younger brother, and I
Mhm.
realized how happy he was.
Mhm.
And since then, I went back home, and I felt this way again. But
So do you,
writing for me at that
uh,
point, at that time, was a sense of liberation.
yeah, yeah, there's a certain freedom in it, right? You're able to express yourself in any way that you want to. And there's a certain sense of relieving that which is bothering you, that which is controlling you. I really believe that it's been one of my sources of salvation.
Okay, you just saw at the beginning of the introduction, you make reference to the box. Give a
Mhm.
quick, summary of the story. But
Mhm.
I have a question for you, Kathy.
Sure.
Was that the catalyst for creating the wonderful, what seems, perfect character, Mia's complex relationship with her mom?
So that wasn't really the catalyst. So in essence, when I first started writing the novel,
Right,
I was trying to understand my own feelings of
right.
depression. But at the time, I didn't know I was suffering with depression. So I was just like, I just wrote this, I just started writing this novel as a way to understand what I was going through.
Right.
And then when I was diagnosed with depression, I was like, oh, okay, that's what my main character is going through. But I needed to give her something that created her depression. So something where her depression came from. And that's when I created her complex relationship with her mother. I don't know where it came from. I don't know where that idea of this battle with this emotional battle with her mother came from, because my own experience with my mother, I mean, sure, we had our differences, but it was never anything that I felt like created my depression.
Okay.
But I think in terms of creating drama around for her, little by little, I just started creating more and more drama with the mother.
That's exactly what the question I was going to ask you, my next question, because the novel touches, so brilliantly on Mia's struggle with
Mhm.
mental health issues,
Mhm.
and of course, her past trauma too. So, what was your approach? 'Cause I always ask many of my friends, my writers, the same specific question. What was your approach, as you were writing the story? I mean,
Mhm.
and handling these very sensitive topics and the way that feels so authentic, so real. Because
Oh, thank
I
you.
have to say that you're such a very impeccable writer too. So
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Yay. So this was my approach. When I discovered that depression was what it was that was bothering me, that I suffered with, I did a lot of research on it online. And I read a few books as well too. But the books that I read were memoirs and fiction, right?
right,
And I wanted to see how these people who admitted to suffering with depression, how they described it. But most importantly, every time I was in a really depressive episode, I started writing about it. I wrote about exactly how I felt
you
because
felt okay. I got it.
yeah,
I got
yeah.
it. Yeah, I got it.
So
Because
at one point,
mhm. Yeah,
yeah,
go
I'm
ahead. Go
sorry,
ahead.
go ahead.
Yeah, yeah, no, no, continue. Yeah.
So at one point in the book, I have Mia, my main character, expressing that sometimes she feels like she's in a dark hole and that she can't get out. That's exactly how I felt. So anytime that I was really, really feeling low, not every time, because sometimes I just couldn't get to writing, but there were times when I really, really felt like at my lowest, and I said I had to pick up a pen and write how I was feeling so that I can give it to my main character Mia. So those are the ways in which I try to make it as authentic as possible.
But the character Derek,
Hmm.
that's his name. Okay, that's
Yeah.
Mia's boyfriend.
Hmm.
Okay, but he also plays a significant role in her life.
Hmm.
Okay, so what was your intention behind creating this character?
Okay, so when I first created Derek, I wanted him to be the perfect boyfriend. the character that we can say, yes, black men are good to their women, the supportive guy I wanted him to be. But little by little, I started realizing, there's something going on with Derek that I'm not seeing yet, right? I realized that he's a workaholic, that he's not able to set his work aside to be with Mia. I realized that he's not forthcoming when it comes to his you know Glory, her best friend, flirting with him, right? So I was like, he's hiding something, and I had to bring that out, right? And so while I made him be as supportive as he thinks he is, I
Mhm.
also had to create a way for him to be a flawed character, that
Mhm.
he's not that perfect boyfriend that he thinks that he is, and we have to pull back the layers to see what's going on with Derek. So that's how I created it. And little by little, as I had more beta readers reading my book, and everybody said the same thing, like, oh, he seems kind of like a narcissist, and he seems like he's full of himself. And I was like, really? I didn't think of him that way. But then when people started saying that and I was reading, I was like, he kind of is. So I created him to be more that way, you
That's
know?
that's
Yeah.
right. And you know what? They say that also flawed characters
Hmm.
are the ones readers find connection with because they're
Yes.
so close to reality.
Yeah,
You know,
absolutely.
they present some sort of a Cornelian kind of figure when it comes to novelistic
Yeah.
prose. So
Yeah.
that's really that's what I like. But the other character also, Mia's mom, Dolores,
Uh-huh, Dolores.
yeah, uh, especially she has some sort of a contradictory nature.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that sometimes I find myself just like as if you're talking to somebody I knew. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
So, how did you develop this character?
So she has developed over time as well. So when I first created Mia's mother, I wanted her to be deeply against Mia's want to become a writer.
Right.
But I felt like also, so that was her main thing. Like, no, don't just become a writer. You have to do something with intent to bring up the race to help us, continue in a in a complementary way, right? And but I felt like also that she had to have more layers within her without giving too much from the book, um, because there is something that we learn about her that's very important, that's crucial. I wanted her to be deeply, deeply layered to the point where it wasn't just her not wanting Mia to pursue this writing career, but it had to come from somewhere. What is her mother struggling with? She had her own struggles, and Mia never tried to find out what those struggles were.
Um,
And in finding that out, then that's what would help Mia understand her mother and thus understand herself. So I had to create her on slowly through the years that I was writing it to be for her to become that character that I wanted her to be.
I was going to ask you a question, but you already answered it while, while,
Mhm.
while talking. But let me ask you something here, because I know every writer at some point in the story struggle with some sort of what we say writing blues or something.
Mhm.
You feel like you just want to take a break, from the
Mhm.
writing. You just
Yeah.
want to breathe. It happens to me sometimes, a
Yeah.
lot, I'd say.
Mhm.
But I mean, in writing the box, what was the most challenging moment for you, or the most difficult chapter to write?
I would have to say, let me think, the most difficult chapter. I can't say that it was any one particular chapter, but I will say this. I started this book
Right.
years ago. And for a long time, I put it aside. One, because I did become a teacher, and for a long time, I had other like lesson plans and all that stuff to deal with. But you would say that I had the summers to work on, and I did. But those were the summers that I was really, really depressed. So for many years, I put it aside. So I have to be
Really?
honest. Yeah. So I'm gonna say this. I started this book 25 years ago. 25 years ago. I started it, maybe I wrote it for like about a year and a half. And then I put it away for more up to like 10 years. And and the reason why is because it was so challenging for me to get back into it because I was always so depressed. And that was what my novel was about, depression, you know? So writing it was the easy part. Revising it every time an editor looked at it was the easy part. The hard part was for me to get back into it once I had let it aside for so long.
Yeah, I remember when I write my story, Midnight at Noon. It took me almost 15 years.
Mm.
Um, I mean, I wrote it within 2 years,
Hmm.
but the story was so close to my heart. I
Yeah.
was always afraid, you know, of how it would be perceived or received
Hmm.
once the story was published.
Yeah, yeah.
But they
Absolutely.
say at some point you have to let go. Yeah.
Right? And I felt like that too when I was about to publish this book. And I kept, so the publication date was in July. I found myself like late May, I was still making changes. I was like, the book is going to be published in less than 2 months. I have to say enough is enough, you know? So I felt the same way.
You have to let go at some point. Yeah. You don't
Yeah,
have to be so selfish.
exactly.
All right, now, Kathy, something I always do when I have a writer and a conversation, because I know we're humans, we're
Hmm.
not superheroes,
Hmm.
like, some people uh,
Hmm.
would love to call the preferred, authors,
Hmm.
is the human side of it, because I know I'm Haitian, and in my house, the Haitian cuisine is embedded in me and all of us.
Yes.
So when it comes to cuisine, what is your favorite one?
My favorite dish? Like, oh, okay. So have you ever heard of well, I'm sure you've heard of chaka?
Of course, I have it every month, by the way.
Really?
One day, yeah.
My mother used to make chaka and I loved it, loved it, loved it, loved it. And a few years ago, I was just like, I just missed it so much. So I found a recipe online and now I make it at least twice a year.
Twice a year.
I should make it every month like you may have it, but
Yeah, but the thing is now, but if
thank
you,
you.
if you eat it just too often,
Hmm.
it has a high calorie component into
Oh
it.
yeah,
So,
it does.
you might try to stay away from it. But
Yeah.
by the way, for chaka is this very soul Haitian dish. It is made of smoke. It could be smoked turkey or smoked pork or something.
Pork, I guess.
And then with a special type of maize, with it,
Hmm.
yeah. And the way my wife does it, it also includes red beans and it too, and a kind of jumu, which is a yellow squash, and
Yes.
that's to give it
Gosh,
that little color, that flavor, and that's delicious.
so good. We have coconut milk in there, right?
Exactly, you got it. You
So
got it.
good. But I have to admit, I don't make it with any meat because I'm vegan. So I make it all without the meat, but it's just still so amazing to me.
Right, right.
Yeah.
I don't eat pork, but my wife makes that with the smoked turkey. I
Mm.
don't really eat smoked turkey. I just want to get to be in there so I can get that taste,
The flavor of it. Yes.
flavor of it. Yeah,
Yes. Yes.
that's why I have.
Yeah.
But what about when it comes to, is that your favorite? Hands down, that's your favorite one,
Hands
right?
down, that's my favorite.
Okay. What about when it comes to music, Kachi?
Okay. So I don't know if you're gonna take my Haitian card away from me
Okay.
because I never really listened to Haitian music. There was something about it when growing up, I was just like, okay. But every once in a while I hear the Haitian music and I like it. So I don't know Haitian music like I feel like I need to
It
know it.
doesn't have to be Haitian, by the way.
Okay.
It's just like with the food also. As a
Mhm.
human being, so what is your preferred, So,
Ah,
no,
okay.
I wasn't referring, to Haitian cuisine.
Okay.
I know my favorite cuisine is
Mhm.
Haitian, hands down,
Yes.
but it doesn't have to be.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, my favorite music, I would say, that's a good one. What I've been listening to a lot lately is Christian music. Just, it just brings me comfort. I think there's some beautiful Christian music out there that I listen to. And I like, for some reason, my mother loved country music, so I'm a fan. I
Okay.
like country
I was going
music
to say
also.
because and within the world of country music, the
Mhm.
different sub-genres onto it, I think, uh, because sometimes you have a very fast beat, and
Mhm.
sometimes it could be very, very, very slow, mellow
Mhm.
kind of thing. But you
Yeah.
said country music, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I listen to country music a lot also.
Yeah.
Because of
Okay.
my son, my youngest son, I don't know, for some reason, he has a special, fond for country music.
Yeah, that's so cool. Yeah.
Yeah. And how about, let's get back to literature now.
Mhm.
Okay, now, uh, your favorite author of all time.
I would have to say my favorite author of all time is a combination between Maya Angelou
Huh?
and I want to say Zora Neale Hurston. Their books moved me, right? When I was in college, I was reading all the books that I could get my hands on that they wrote, and they just moved me. I felt like they wrote like poetry. It was just I Their Eyes Were Watching God by Zora Neale Hurston and Maya Angelou. I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings. I mean, I beautiful, beautiful, absolutely. So they're my favorite.
I got book books in my library too.
Mhm.
I've read them a couple of times also.
Yeah. Oh, they're just
But
so good.
between the two, so which one? If I were to ask you, choose between the two,
Zora Neale Hurston.
really? And why?
Because the more I read more of her books that I felt really resonated with me, that I loved the writing. And with Maya Angelou, I mean, I read a lot of her books as well, but a lot of them were, let's just put it this way. I felt like Zora Neale Hurston's writing was more poetic than Maya Angelou's. And I don't want to compare the two, but that's why I really like Zora Neale Hurston. I like the way that she wrote. It was like poetry to me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, have you ever been exposed to Caribbean literature?
Not a lot as I would like to.
Some. Right?
I've read Edwidge Danticat, but years ago. I haven't read any of her recent works, but that's about it.
That's about it. Mm.
Hmm. If you have a list of authors, Caribbean authors that I should check out, I'd love to to see that list.
You see that list? Okay.
Hmm.
I can share that with you.
Yeah.
Because I have my favorite list
Okay.
of Asian writers,
Hmm.
but also Caribbean writers, Jamaican writers, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
But all right. So looking ahead, Kathy, we've been talking now. Are there any, by the way, have you ever met any of your readers to ask you whether or not we'll have a sequel to the story? Because
Uh,
I want to see a sequel.
really?
Yeah.
So a few people, not a lot, a few people have asked me, was I going to continue it with a sequel? And I think not. I think Mia's story is done. I think
That,
um I felt content with how the story ended, you know? And I felt like, well, maybe if I were to write a sequel, maybe it would be about her children, like fast forward to the future, like she has her own kids. But I also didn't feel like there was something there. So I felt content with how it ended. And if I do ever write a sequel, it'll be because I really feel that there's another story to tell about it. Right now, I don't want to feel like I'm forcing anything. Right now, I don't see it.
right.
Right? Yeah.
Any other projects?
Yes. So I am working on a, a novel. Well, it's a novella right now. That's how it's starting off, about a pair of twins, Haitian American twins,
Wow.
who are so alike. So it's all about identity, how they're like, and how other people view them as just one person, and their struggle with their mother who is suffering with dementia,
Mm.
And their father, they don't really know, and they're trying to get to know him. They're trying to find out who he is, where he is, and get to know him. So I I don't have it fleshed out yet, but that's the story that I started, and I'm so excited to start really digging into my Haitian culture and understanding more about that and Haitian Creole so that I can incorporate all of that into the novel.
Exactly. To spice it, huh? To spice the
Yeah,
story. Yeah,
yes.
I do that a lot on my stories too. But listen, I know the younger generation of Haitian Americans, not just you, who are also compelling writers.
Mm.
Have you ever been in contact with them writing forums or some writers conferences? Have you ever met some of those?
So interestingly enough, I don't know if you've ever heard of the Haitian Ladies Network. And every year they have a Haitian Ladies Weekend conference. And I just came back from it from 2 weeks ago. It's usually uh, in Columbus Day weekend.
Mhm.
And I met at least, I think, about 4 or 5 other Haitian authors, and I was so excited to meet them. And we were just talking about our different projects, and uh, we're trying to keep in touch so that we can be a resource for each other. So I'm really excited about that, and we're gonna keep in touch on WhatsApp and
It's
just
all about the
support
ladies,
each
right?
other. Yes, yes. We're going to support each other. We're going to help each other with resources. So I'm really excited about that. Yeah.
I know
Mhm.
Miki Dorency, she's a Haitian author. I think she lives on Florida West Coast.
I have spoken to her and I bought her book and I saw your interview with her too. Yes.
Okay,
And I
okay.
and I texted her. I was like, guess what? I just watched this interview with Ardain. Yes, yeah. So
She's,
yeah,
she's very interesting. She's
yes.
yes, a great person.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah. So before we close this wonderful conversation, Kathy,
Mhm.
my last question for you. Any advice you might want to give to someone like you who has suffered from the struggle with depression,
Mhm.
managed to overcome that,
Mhm.
but also managed to write such beautiful prose like this and a wonderful story like this? Anyone advise a young, it doesn't have to be Haitian American, but any young person who would be interested and following your path at becoming such an impeccable writer as you are, what advice would you give that person?
So what I always say is follow your passion, whatever that passion is, because I feel like writing is one of the things that really saved me. Whatever, drown yourself in your passion, whether it's art, whether it's whether it's painting, whether it's I don't know, flowers and any of that. Find that thing that you're so passionate about and immerse yourself in there. And I feel like if you get lost in your passion, then you won't feel the need to be not feel the need, but you won't feel as depressed. I always truly believe in that. And I meditate and I do I listen to motivational videos. I exercise, all of that I do on a regular basis in order to keep that depression away. So that's what my advice would be.
So with that, I'm just going to say it's been such a pleasure
Been
to
great.
have had the honor to receive a wonderful, impeccable writer, Cathelina Duvert, in the conversation.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you so much. So glad to be here.